Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new series I'm trying out. My goal is to interview people and learn something from their stories and their life journey. I hope that you learn something from their life journey as well, and I hope that you enjoy the video. All right, so let's talk. Let's just say a couple of things about ourselves or introduce ourselves. My name is Red Danger. Nice to meet you. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I'm Santages, and this is Patina.
That was a good one. No, so my name is Ali, and we have known each other for, I would say, well over 10 years.
Definitely, yeah.
Yes, and it started by playing RuneScape. Do you remember how I met you?
Yeah, but I'll give you the honors to share it.
I asked for a Camelot teleport. If I remember correctly, that's the correct way, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Yes. So you teleported me, and I was like, "Hey, add me." And you're like, "I usually don't have friend chat on," but you're like, "Sure."
Yep, that is also true. I always play with friend chat off. I never want to be disturbed.
Yes, which is very odd that happened. It's crazy, but it turned out good. We've had some very
interesting experiences, to say the least.
Oh yes, adventures too. We'll talk about those later on. Absolutely. We had a trip to Paris, to Holland. What else? The border of Belgium and the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Buying a car from the Netherlands.
Oh yeah. Also, wow. Why I didn't even remember.
Yeah,
that was a whole different story.
Yeah, but can you imagine the whole? It's crazy when you think about it. You're just thinking about. I asked you to teleport me somewhere in a game, which led to this kind of
to the whole
relationship. Yeah.
Basically, instead of teleporting from Camelot, you teleport all the way from Sweden to Belgium, just like that.
Oh yeah, that you can say that. You can say that. All right. So if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Well, so as we were introducing, I am Santages. That's my nickname, basically. But in real, my name is Peter. What do you want me to say about myself? Like, for me, I'm just who I am. So I'm someone who likes to do all kinds of different things. It's difficult for me to focus on one thing. At least it's how I used to be. Now I've found my focus a bit more since I moved to Greece. And I've been like, a jack of all trades, mainly focusing on working online, basically. So, and that's brought me in so many different directions. It's got to meet me so many people, including you and so many other people around the world. It's just been an amazing story. And my whole life, I can say honestly, has been a gift. I've only been learning and learning from other people's stories. I've only been moving forward. Even if I was stuck, I was still moving forward because I was always focused on helping other people. And yeah, that has brought me a lot of joy. It has brought me a lot of pain too, which is a normal part of the process. And it's me who I am. So yeah, and I'm only grateful for all the experiences that I've had.
That's amen to that.
You want me to top that? No way.
I do. I know you can.
Okay. I'm Jennifer. I was born in America. I moved to the Netherlands when I was 14 with my father because he was working there. I decided to stay in the Netherlands. Yeah, what do I have to say? I have 2 children. 2 girls. I have my own companies.
Nice. Well, you don't need to go into details. I mean, the goal is just to people try to get to, briefly know us. But the most important part, I would say, is our stories, because I can bet you a lot of people have similar stories or go through the same stories, but they think they're walking that path alone.
If I may add something to that too.
Yeah.
The whole recap of everything she was trying to say is she's a self-made woman. And that's all you need to know.
Okay. All right. Now, if I can ask you a question then, how did you two meet?
Work. basically.
But like,
my companies.
Yeah, like she said, she has multiple companies. One of her companies is actually a company that organizes events and organizes training events specifically.
okay.
And one guy that was working for her saw videos that I made for one of her clients, and he introduced he tried to introduce me to the company, as he reached out to me while I was in America, like you are right now.
Mhm.
And basically I started working for him for like a year, and then after that time I finally got to meet her as the CEO of the company from at least the training events, and then from there we just started working together. And she liked traveling, I like traveling, and we went to Spain, for example, for a training event. So we had Spanish speakers there, and I was presenting to them and explaining a lot of different stuff about cryptocurrency. And she was there to monitor me, so I was not saying bullshit to everybody.
I actually just took you so I didn't have to do the presentation myself.
Basically, yeah. So she doesn't. If you haven't noticed, she doesn't like to speak in front of people, but well, I do. So.
Well, yeah, we all have different strengths.
Exactly.
Talking in front of people is not an easy task.
Well,
It's,
it depends on the person. So to me, it's easy, but to other people, it can be very difficult, which I also very much understand why.
That's true.
Because I know the feelings that people go through, because I have those same feelings. It's just a matter of just going out there and doing it. So, but.
Oh yeah, but it's still easier for some people than others. I mean, like if you think about it, you just think about you sitting in your class, and different kind of ages. Doesn't matter if you're like 13, 12, 16, high school, college. You're gonna represent your project or your ideas to the whole class. It's not an easy task. Some people were more natural at it in your class, while other people were struggling real hard. And that's just how it is. And that you did a good thing bringing him along, because I bet he took over the whole conversation there.
Definitely.
And so from Spain, before Spain, we actually went to South Africa as well together.
Yeah.
And she got really sick there. So it was a big event for 4 days. We had a lot of fun there, but she got really sick because we were going to stay for another week to go exploring around there. But she was always in bed, so I was like, I'm not gonna go out there. I'm gonna stay there with you. I can make sure that you're okay. So I never left her side.
We cooked rice in a.
So there was no way for us to cook any food. So we had a water like a water heater to make tea. So we used that one to cook rice, but that didn't work out.
Oh no, I can imagine that.
Cook it
it worked. Let's say it worked, but the people of the staff afterwards were not happy because you couldn't get the rice out.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that. It's not, you're not making noodles, where you just pour hot water and it's done after like 2-3 minutes. Rice requires a lot more time.
But the thing is, with noodles, you make the noodles in a bowl usually, and you pour the water in. We made the rice in the cooker.
Did you have to pay for that?
No.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think they ever knew, luckily.
All right.
Pretty clean.
We got it pretty clean, but it took a whole day.
Yeah, that's true.
And then we went to Vegas together. And that's where, like, before all that time, there was something that was happening, but I mean, she was already in a relationship at the time, but she had a lot of issues, not with the person himself. Like, he's a very good guy, still is. I mean, he's still good friends with us because we both really like the guy. Don't get me wrong, he's a really good guy. But unfortunately, it didn't work out between them. And so she was basically on the verge already to move out. And then we went to Vegas together. And then, I don't know, for me personally, you know me, I've always been someone, I never wanted a relationship. I never was looking for anyone.
Oh, yeah.
So to me, that was, for me, the first time there that I really, really wanted to kiss her. I didn't do it because she still was in a relationship. So I had a lot of respect for her, of course, and for him as well. I didn't want to do anything, but we were dancing one evening together, and I was just, I don't know, there was a spark to me that I couldn't resist. So then because I was trying to share it with her already for, I think, 3-4 days, I just couldn't get there. But that evening, when I had that urge to want to kiss her, I just had to share it. And that's when I just said it. I just like, I don't care what you do with this information. I just have to be honest. I've always been lying to myself my whole life, been lying to everybody else. And you know me, I've always been very honest. But to me, in my head, in my head, I've always been dishonest because I never fully said the truth. And that was the very first time in my whole life after what I was 27 years that I was 100% honest, not just to her, but to myself. And that was a very, very liberating experience.
What, if I can ask you, what do you think triggered that?
Like the whole experience from the beginning?
No, what do you
Or-
think triggered you to just like grab the situation and be honest? Because you said that you haven't been honest with yourself in your mind, but that at that moment you're like, I don't care what happens. I need to give you this information, and you do what
But
you will with that information.
That's a very good question. To be truth be told, it's been something that's been on my mind my whole life. Like I've been going around asking people why they wanted a relationship. I even asked you. I mean, I've asked everybody.
Oh, me and you have we can get into that, but we have a long, and I mean a long story about
all the discussions
relationships.
we've had. Yeah.
Oh,
not
yes.
just relationships, just all different stuff. But anyway, so it's been going on my whole life, and I never stood up for myself. Like literally, I never did. I always just did everything I could for other people, and I did all the things that I could do. And yet, that moment, I don't know. I felt I had to, both for her, both for me, and because I just wanted to be honest, but I just couldn't. And that there's no reason why I did it, why I really did it that time. There's just no explanation, because the main difference was that my whole life has been building up to that moment, and then I had to make a choice. And usually I back down, but in this case, there's like, no, I cannot back down anymore. This urge is too big. It's too real. It's there. I cannot ignore it anymore, because I always ignored everything. I always ran away from everything by doing more stuff, because that's a really good excuse that most people use as an excuse to say, like, I'm busy, so I cannot do this or this or this. You always have time if you really want to. And to me, I'm the best at it. Like I can do so many different things more than most people can in a short amount of time. So to me, it's a really good excuse. And yet, that moment was like, no, you just have to do this. Screw whatever the consequences are, just do it.
Thank you for the light, by the way. I was about to say, I was like, I have two questions. Could you turn on the light?
I was also thinking about it.
And then I had another question. But yeah.
Let me see.
Just changing the color.
Hey, it's fine.
I think this is better. There we go.
This is just a
You
glare.
may wanna reduce this one though. This
It's
one.
still a glare.
Yeah, but
Maybe we do the lights.
you do everything on, and then you remove this one. There we go. That should be better.
Yeah, that's fine.
There you go. That's better.
So, okay, just to get this straight, you told her on how you felt that day. You didn't kiss her.
No, we never kissed.
Okay, so you just told her how you felt towards her.
Yes, because
you-
I couldn't do it. I couldn't not do it because she was still in a relationship. She was having a
Oh
hard
yeah,
time.
I understand. But just
and
to
I
make
did
it
not-
clear for myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so basically at the end of the night or somewhere during the night, you told her, this is what I feel for you. And you do with that information what you want.
In the middle of the street, I couldn't wait. It was just, we were walking back to the hotel room and I just couldn't wait. It was just in the middle of the street.
All right, let me ask you this then, Jennifer. How did this make you feel?
I wasn't that surprised,
All right.
but I did feel put on the spot at the moment
Mhm.
because of my situation.
Mhm.
And of course, I did have feelings as well for Peter, but I was still in a difficult position. So I wasn't quite sure what I needed to do with the information.
Okay.
But you have to be honest too. Like I didn't push you in that moment. I just wanted to share it with you because, like I said, you then, and I still mean that today. Even like whatever you had to do, take your time. I just told you, I'm there for you. Whatever it takes, I will do. I will just wait and hold my distance if you want me to. It does not matter. I just wanted to share it with you.
I know you were really, really respectful.
But I just had to share it.
So this is very interesting because a lot of people are in situations where they get to know someone, or you know how people have friends and that friendship turns out to be something more later on, even though like if people are in the situation that you are in, where you were in a relationship currently, and then we're talking about you, Peter, who basically have been anti-relationships as long as I can remember, but you still had more relationships than I've had. You know what I mean? So it's
Touche.
like, yeah. So it's like, it's interesting to try to find out on how the whole kind of process, let me see if I can phrase this correctly, because a lot of people are in your situation, Jennifer, where they're either in a relationship or they're mentally not there yet. They don't know what to do with the information. So it's like, okay, thank you, but this is like, oof, this is a heavy thing to drop on me right now. I don't really know what to do. What, if you could just explain, you can share as much as you want. You don't need to go into details, but if you could share a little bit of information on kind of like what your thought process was, and then how long time it took for you to actually, break the relationship with that guy and move on with the relationship with Peter.
Now I was already in the process of breaking the relationship. I
Okay.
already had bought a house and everything, but it was still a strange.
It was a strange feeling because it was not official yet. Let's just say it like that.
Okay. So were you breaking?
My other relationship was the plan was that we were living together because I had just came back from traveling, so that's why I
Okay.
was living with him. So it was always the plan that I would get my own place. So I got my own place,
Okay.
and that was for me the moment to say I'm gonna break it, because I wanted other things in my life than what he wanted. So our
Okay.
plans were not
Aligned.
parallel, aligned.
Mhm.
So yeah, I had a lot of time spent a lot of time with Peter, and I started to like him, but I didn't want to act on any kind of those feelings, so I pushed them away. Just because I wanted to sort out my own situation at the moment, and I wanted to be sure that I wasn't, because sometimes when you're in a relationship, it's easy to jump over to somebody else.
Yes.
And use that to get out of the relationship.
Yeah, as an excuse to run away from your problems, basically.
An excuse, or just I don't know. It's sometimes easy way out, or you project different things onto that person, even if they're maybe not that person. And I really didn't want to do that. So I really wanted to be sure. The situation that I was in, I was stopping the one situation, and if I wanted to go with Peter, then I wanted to be sure that was like a real feeling, a pure feeling.
All right. Okay. By the way, how do I make the camera jump between us?
It happens automatically in the recording. Basically, if you
okay.
if when you see the recording, it will always show the person that's speaking.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking. I was like, okay.
Or
All
it
right.
should.
Oh, but that's perfect. Whatever happens, I'm happy. So, but to continue that, would you say you were mentally, like when you were traveling and you were in Las Vegas, you were in Las Vegas at that time when you confessed your feelings, would you say that you already mentally were off that relationship?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you had you just hadn't made it official yet.
Yeah.
But mentally you're like, I'm done with this relationship.
That's also the only reason why I shared my feelings, because if that wasn't the case, then I would fully have said nothing and kept it to myself, because I would never interfere. I would have never interfered, but I knew the situation as well, of course.
Okay.
Otherwise I definitely would not interfere with it, because I cannot, as a person, you know me, I cannot interfere with anyone's happiness just for my own sake. I will never do that. So
I don't think you should do that either, because, even if you really want that relationship to happen, you can basically counter work yourself. So even if you think that if you confess your feeling and she might confess back, you think that, oh, that will break off the relationship and she'll come to me, that might actually work against you.
It might make it very more difficult for her. And if I just may give my perspective as well on that, just as an example, how far that goes to me, like one of my best friends in real life, he when I met him first, I was in college. He had a relationship with someone, I think it was at least together for 3 or 4 years, maybe. but I saw immediately from the first day that it was a toxic relationship. I saw that immediately, but I didn't say anything. Every day in school, I asked him every day, are you happy with your relationship? And I kept asking him every day. And he always said yes. But the day that he said no, that relationship was broken down. I took him to her house and he broke up the relationship. I made it happen. And he's been so happy ever since. But as long as he said he was happy, even though I saw he was not, I never interfered because I couldn't do it.
Are you still friends with him?
Of course, he's my best friend. I was
There
his
you
best
go.
man at his wedding in February. So
Nice. It's important. It's important to respect other people's choices, because even look, there are many situations where there are many situations in life where you get put into a situation and then you're like, should I do this? Should I not? You may be thinking I shouldn't be doing this, but you still keep pursuing it. And other people might tell you, you need to stop doing what you're doing because it's not good for you. But unless you personally yourself are 100% convinced and that you need to stop doing that, you will not stop doing that. You can take smoking, for example. Everyone knows that smoking hurts you, but at the same time, unless you're 100% convinced and you want yourself personally to quit, you will not quit. That's the thing. So it's very interesting, because that situation that you guys have been in, I can bet you a lot of people are in that situation. And a lot of people think that there should be a period between exiting a relationship and starting a new one. What do you guys think about that?
personally, it depends from person to person. The only thing that matters is that you should only start a relationship when you are ready for it. And that's where everybody has a different experience. That's my opinion, at least. Because if you are still in like feeling bad about your previous relationship or things that happened, you should not start a new relationship. Because when you start a new relationship, and that's basically what you were saying as well, is then you start a relationship with someone who is helping you to relieve that problem.
Or taking the place of that person.
They're replacing an emptiness that you are experiencing at that moment. You should only start a relationship when you feel whole and you're ready to share it with someone else to make it next level. Because I myself, like I said, I never wanted a relationship. I was never ready for it as well. That's a different story. But I never wanted it because I was happy the way that I was. I never needed a relationship to feel that because I never missed it. I never felt that I was missing anything. And I even tried a relationship as well. And that was even reverse, it made it even worse. Let's say that. But the way that the first time that I realized that a relationship could be different for me was because of her. That was in Africa. That when that happened, I did not have feelings for her, don't get me wrong, but it made me realize that this is why I want a relationship, because it was such a beautiful gesture that hit me so hard. I was literally distraught for a whole week mentally, in a good way.
What gesture are we talking about? Oh wait, never mind. Yeah. If it's a rated thing,
no, not at all.
Oh, that's
No, so we were there for a big event for one of our clients, and we went to the VIP gala dinner. And before we went to the dinner, the group we were in, they were all drinking, and you name it. I was drinking beers with the guys, and the women were drinking red wine. And one of the women, right before we left, she ordered a really big glass of red wine. And we had to leave, so she couldn't drink it all on her own. So she went around to share it, but nobody wanted to drink it because everyone was leaving. So it's like, you know what? It's a shame to throw it away, right? So I just drank the whole glass. But it was a black tie event, and I was the only person with a black tie, and I had a white suit on. Everybody else had a different tie or whatever, but I truly had a black tie. But anyways,
classic.
I can tell you, a white suit and red wine, they don't mix together, as you can imagine.
Oh, I know.
So a little drop of red wine fell on my chest here, and we were sitting on the table next to each other, and she saw this drop of red wine, and without any words, she just grabbed a napkin, some water, she put some water on it, then she grabbed some salt, she rubbed it on it, and she started removing it with the napkin. That gesture, just that moment, that hurt me so much in my heart. Like that was the first time that someone else, like it sounds really sad in a way, but it was the first time that someone else just random just did something for me, just unconditionally, just like that, meant really well without any. It was so beautiful. Yeah, it was no expect. It was just pure moment in that moment. It just hit me so hard. And then that made me realize, okay, so this is why I would want a relationship.
So you're telling me an act of kindness triggered that with you?
Yes, a true act of kindness, just a simple little thing like that. And
That's
that made me
interesting.
realize, and what I've learned from a relationship in that way since we've been together, is that it's not about like filling an empty hole within yourself. No, it's about you being who you are and the other person the same, and you together, you share an experience that you cannot create on your own. It just amplifies everything. Like now, I mean, I wanted to travel around the world, but why do it alone if you can travel together? It makes it so much more fun, and you share so many different things. You learn so much from each other, and yeah, you fill each other up in a way, both physically and also in other ways, of course. But you fill each other up in such a way that you learn so much more out of life, and you appreciate life so much more, and you enjoy life so much more. And that just, yeah, that was just a game changer for me. Because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been doing all the things I've been doing now. We would have been sitting in this house. I mean,
Well, that's interesting. That's actually very interesting, because as long as I've known you, you have been anti-relationships, and I've tried to talk to you. I was like, this is a really beautiful thing, and if there is someone who knows what a true relationship means, or I've been trying to convince you and show you what a true relationship is probably me, or I have a big part of that, because we even wrote a small novel on love. I gotta try to find that thing again, because I don't remember having it
you
anywhere.
can make a whole book out of the text we written in Skype to each other. You can make a whole book out
Oh
of it.
yeah, yeah. We had a text called we wrote a text, Jennifer, once. It's called The Many Ways of Love, and it was just a small. One day I got home. We were out. I think I was out with my cousins, and then they were talking about, talking about. I think they were trying to hook me up with someone, and they're like, "Yeah, but this person is not good for you, and I don't think you guys are gonna make a good couple. She's not your type." And that has always bothered me, because I'm like, just let people try getting to know each other, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. At least hopefully they will get something out of it, even if they're not their type. But trying to just stop them from each other is, there are two ways. Like, sometimes it's just good to maybe stop someone, because if you really know that that person is really not good for you. But if it's like on a minimal level, just let them try, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. So I got home one night, and I started just writing like random stuff on my laptop, and I was like, you know what, let's just write kind of about my experiences. And that night I was awake till like 5 a.m. in the morning, and the first time I looked at the clock was basically, oh, it's 5, I need to go to sleep. And I told Peter about it, and he's like, "Oh, I'll help you like correct your English," because he's always been better at writing than me. And I was like, "All right, fine." And we actually wrote it. It was a couple of pages. I need to try to find that thing, because it would be nice just to, look back at it.
Yeah, I think
Look
so
back
too.
at it. Yeah, and if you find it, you can definitely let Jennifer read it. So it was an experience. It was something nice, but again, if I didn't have the experiences that I've had, I wouldn't be able to write that text either. So experiencing stuff and failing, or getting life to hit you a couple of times, is very important, in my opinion.
No,
So,
absolutely agree.
all right. If I can ask you then, because you mentioned you had 2 kids, Jennifer,
Yes,
right?
actually, one of them is just calling right now.
You can take that call if you want,
No,
but
no,
okay.
that's going to take a little bit, so
oh,
we can call later. Don't worry.
did you, when you broke the news to your parents, Peter, what was their reaction?
I didn't break the news. They basically they anticipated it, because I was, after when I came back from Vegas, I didn't share much with them about the whole experience, so they were already a bit like thinking like, what's going on?
Suspicious.
And then yeah, exactly. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Thanks. But Then I think about the 1st of January. It was not the first. Like at a week after Vegas, she moved out of the apartment with her ex-boyfriend. Then I suppose at that moment. And when she moved out, I immediately went to the Netherlands, and I was pretty much gone for like weeks.
You didn't come back.
I didn't come back home, so they basically knew what was going on.
Yeah. Okay. I understand. How did your family react to this, Jennifer?
I only have my 2 daughters actually still. So.
Well, your father also reacted to it, huh? On the phone.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
I
but that was
remember him.
later. Yeah, my father reacted to it. But my father's always, I've had a few relationships, so it's not the first one. So my father was like, he just better be good for you. Otherwise, typical father.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember him saying exactly like this. Like, is he treating you well?
Yeah,
like exactly like that.
Yeah. And my youngest daughter actually already knew Pieter.
No.
Because of working.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My children are not that surprised about things that I choose the choices that I would make.
No. Your youngest daughter had the most difficult thing for her youngest daughter was to process the fact that we in the age difference between her youngest daughter and me is not even 10 years. So that was a bit more difficult for her to process.
Oh yeah, I understand. But she accepted it in the end.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's a lot of people focus on age today, unfortunately, and age, height, and I understand it can be very important for people, but it's stuff that you cannot control. I feel like it's things that I cannot control. I cannot ask, for me, I'm a believer. Like I believe in God. I cannot ask God. It's like, God, why did you make me, why was I born this year and not that year? And if I was born that year, I could have, had better chances. But it's something you can't control, and you can't control your height either. Maybe to some degree, if you eat well when you're a kid, absolutely.
Wear high heels.
Yeah, that too. But you have very little control of what you can and can't do. So it's like, why not just accept the fact that, if you have, or if you guys jive together, or like you have a good connection, why not pursue it and see where it leads? So by you guys putting everything aside and actually focusing on what you guys want, that is something, in my opinion, that takes a lot of courage to do, but that's a very strong thing to do, because a lot of people can't. They can't just swallow the pride of, I cannot date someone older, I cannot date someone younger, I cannot date someone taller or shorter. But you guys just bypass that, and you're like,
to us, it was never an issue. To us, it was just, to me especially, I see her as myself. It's not an ego complex or anything that I want to be with just me. No, it's just I see her as an extension of me. It's like most people say we're a mirror. I say no, we're the same person. Like everything that she wants and likes, it's just the same for me. Like it's just like a full match. Usually people say like opposites of each other attract each other, and people who are the same, they don't. But I don't believe that, because of course we have our differences. That's only normal. I mean, also generation wise, we've grown up differently and everything else. So I mean, there are differences, definitely, but our interests and what we want to do and how we talk to people, how we help people, and all these things, like all the most important things in life, those are almost all the same.
Yeah, because Jennifer, you mentioned that you and your ex, you didn't have parallel aligned thoughts. And you said that, your goals was not the same. But how important is that? Because if you have two people having two different routes in a work, or are we talking just like work related, like thoughts and goals, or are we talking life aspirations and dreams?
I think more life aspirations.
Okay.
Because with my ex, we split up at a moment. So I decided to travel the world. So when I was traveling, he came back and he wanted to be together again. So I was open for that, of course.
Yeah.
At that moment. But I realized when I was traveling, he was like, okay, you can travel, you travel whenever you want, because I know you love to travel, but I'm going to stay here and I'm going to work. And maybe like over 5-10 years, we can travel together. But and once in a while he came when I was traveling, he would come. But I don't know, that didn't fit, because I want to travel together with somebody and not somebody who just comes once in a while and drops in. And it's not the same as experiencing it together, of doing it together.
Yes.
Like what you told me as well about that is because you were in a group, and then when he came there, like he
took me out of the group. So the process that I was in with the people I was with, like he didn't join the group and join me, but he took me out, or expected that I would, put all my attention on him and only do things with him.
So it's just like interrupting the flow, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So instead of like, joining the flow and just, melting in, it was like, nope, let's cut this off. Let's do something else.
Yeah.
Okay. That gives me a more clear picture, because I've been always thinking that it's fine. You guys can choose different careers and it will probably work out. And it's even better if you have different careers, because then you have more to talk about. It's two different subjects. You know what I mean?
It depends, because one of the things that I really liked with Pieter is that we were working together, and I finally felt like I can really now work together with somebody. I can really, split my tasks. Like, I always felt like I had to split myself in half to do everything I want to do. And when he came, it was like, okay, we can just do it together. And it was such a mind changer. And then also, so just growing out of that, I don't know, it was just a really good feeling to know, okay, we can really do everything. Of course, we do different things in our work, but just to be on the same line and be able to talk to each other and understand what we're doing as well. Sometimes when you're doing two different jobs, you come and you talk about it and the other person listens, but do they really understand? Do they really?
But I also would like to add, because what you said was a very interesting point, like the fact that people, they find two different careers, and then when you get back home, you can talk with each other, because then you have something to talk about. But if you are on the same alignment, then you always have something to talk about, because when she's doing her work, then we can talk about, we can discuss, and we can learn more about it and get better at it, and we can focus on improving ourselves even more into this field, or we can move other ways around this and that. And with Corona, it was really interesting to see with people, especially that were locked together. Those were always like working outside of each other, and then they were locked in the same house every day together, and they got really upset. They couldn't handle the situation. I'm like, dude, if you love the other person, then what's the issue here? Do you want to be together, or do you want to live next to each other? Like, not even like you share your life and that's it. Like, you're not even living, you're not sharing your life literally in the right way. To us, I was happy because we were always together anyways. To me, it didn't matter. I can be sitting next to her the whole day, every day of the whole week, and I'll be just as happy. To me, that's why I find it strange to hear from people. They don't know how to handle themselves being at home all the time with everybody around. Then something is wrong.
Maybe because it's clear for you, as in, you know what you want, you know what you're working towards, and you maybe have been in a similar situation before, and you can handle it. But for other people, it might have been, oh, this is the first time. I don't know how to handle this. I don't know what to do. I mean, like, thinking about it, I don't think anyone has ever, or anyone, I wouldn't say anyone, but most of us living right now have not been in a pandemic. So you're working from home. Some people were used to that already, but a lot of people were not. What do you mean I got to work from home? Some people loved it. Some people didn't like it. And a lot of people can't handle this situation because it's a sudden change. It's not a change that happened over time, but it's like, from next week, we'll start working from home. And people are like, oh, hold on, this is a big decision right here. And I haven't had time to process it. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons of why that happens. But I also think, and this might sound harsh, but it can be true, a lot of people don't truly know what they want. They go into a relationship thinking that this is the perfect person for me right now, or with the information I have, this is the perfect person for me. But as soon as something happens or something major happens, it can alter your mindset and be like, is this really what I want? You know what I mean? Because
I also think that people can change on the way. You go into a
Absolutely.
relationship with the same, and at that moment, it is really, really good.
Absolutely.
And everything is good. But by going your own ways then with your careers, you're growing, you're becoming a different person. You can also grow apart because you're not on the same.
And that's what I meant with the corona. You're put in that situation. Definitely, the sudden shift is definitely the biggest issue here at hand. No question there. Hands down, hands down. But when you're locked there together, you get put a mirror in front of your face and you cannot hide from it anymore. And that's a big issue that also like makes it even worse. That's what I meant more.
Do you think communication, open communication and honesty can make you, do you think that open communication and honesty can get you through those problems?
Absolutely. Even though it may be very difficult in that moment for sure, but in the long term, 100%, because it will only get worse and worse. Because when you start internalizing everything, it will only start building up, and you see more problems and you only focus on the problems. And when you communicate, you release it. The other person can also let it out. They can also release it. And then when all that negativity is finally out, then you can finally let the positivity flow in, and then you can focus on moving forward. But if you don't communicate, you cannot move forward together, and then you can only grow apart.
But I think it's also very, very strong if you can also, when you communicate openly, also to be able to say, okay, we're going different ways, and being respectful for yourself, saying, but I want something else and you want something else, and that's okay.
Yep.
We don't have to make it work. You don't have to give that up, or I don't have to give that up. Totally. Yeah. A little bit of giving up for each other. Okay. But I mean, if you really, one has like a really dream to go that way and the dream had to go that way, that's okay. You know, it's life. You don't
Absolutely.
have to,
You don't have to fight over it.
it's like friends, they come and they go. So it's like partners. Sometimes it comes, goes. Sometimes you find one that's for you for life. And that's beautiful, of course.
Absolutely. All endings don't have to be bad endings. Unfortunately, people might let things build up, and that build up explodes in the end and leaves everything bad. But that's why I asked the question, do you think honesty and communication can help you through that? Because I think if you and your partner decide to have an open, healthy communication, but also you all always be honest with each other, you can tackle a lot of problems before they become bigger, but you could also solve those problems. So even if you have thoughts of, I do not want to be in this relationship anymore, that communication can kind of like make you realize that you might have been seeing it in a different way, or you were scared of approaching and bringing up a subject that made you think that way.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So by having that conversation, you're like, okay, this wasn't as bad as I thought. So and you might realize something about yourself.
Yep.
So.
And that's why it's most important, because communication is the first thing, and this is the most difficult thing for everybody. I struggled with my whole life. The first thing you need to be is to be fully 100% honest with yourself. And it also means that if you're honest with yourself, then you also accept who you are, which is the most difficult part, because when you accept who you are, then you can finally understand what you want to do. But if you are not ready to do so yet, because it took her for me to be able to finally realize this, even if we weren't in a relationship yet, it was the first time that there was a cue for me to be honest to myself and say what I want without pushing myself onward, just to be clear. But if you cannot do this for yourself yet, that's why the communication with your partner is very crucial, because then your partner can help you get to that point as well. Then you create clarity for yourself and for her, for your partner as well too, because it works for both ways. So you're not just doing it for yourself, you're also giving space for your partner to allow them to share their mind as well, so they can also grow together with you. And that's why you can grow together, or maybe you grow away from each other, but it's only good in the long term, because that's how it's meant to be in that way. And sometimes even that is really difficult, and that's when you need a third party perhaps that can help you mediate this situation. But
absolutely, there's nothing wrong with having a third party.
Absolutely nothing wrong.
So now you guys have a beautiful story. You guys had a good ending with the ex, and you're still friends, both of you, with that person. Unfortunately, a lot of people do not have that fortune. a lot of breakups, divorces end up with really bad outcomes and can send people into depression. Like a lot of people can get depressed. I personally know people who went into like a big depression because of that. They thought that they found their soulmates, and apparently that wasn't it. And it took them years to try to get rid of their depression, but they still haven't gotten rid of it. There's still like fragments that keep them, from moving on or becoming better. So being in that state, Jennifer, could you tell us a little bit about what your depression was about?
Now, the depression I got was probably because me and another ex, not that one, it didn't go good. He was very narcissistic. So I got very depressed because I wanted to get out of that relationship.
Mhm.
And I couldn't. I felt stuck.
Why did you feel stuck, if I may ask that question? Or
Why?
what made you feel stuck?
I felt stuck because during our relationship, we got like a lot of debts.
Okay.
So it's not like I could just walk out the door and go to another house.
Yes.
There were like a lot of other things.
Yeah.
We had a lot of debts.
Yes.
There were 2 children.
Mhm.
So of course, I think a big thing is you always are looking at your children and not realizing that your children are seeing and feeling the bad vibes in the house. So my main goal in that time was to wait till my oldest daughter was out of the house. So I had like
Okay.
another year or something. So I was like, I'll get there.
Okay.
I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know when it just built up really slowly to that point. I think because of the situation in house, I was doing a lot of things, trying to, how do you say that?
Come by.
Myself afleiden.
Oh,
Distract myself from the situation by keeping myself busy with a lot of things. So like, I was doing a newspaper route for 2 hours in the morning, and then I would come home, take care of my children. Then I would go to my work, which I worked the whole day. And then in the evening, I had another job that I was going to, because for my ex, I was not allowed to do anything. I could not go anywhere. I could not meet any people or anything. So by
Was he
doing those
controlling?
things, I was very controlling. I was a narcissist. If I didn't pick up my telephone, it was like.
You can give a nice example with the work you did that he came there.
Yeah, I work with children
Yeah.
in a daycare center, so I cannot pick up my telephone all the time
Okay.
because you're working with children. So
Of course. I've worked with children. You need to pay attention.
yeah, so I couldn't pick up my telephone. So what he did, he stopped work. He came to my work.
All right.
Because I didn't pick it up, and he was thinking I was doing something with one of the fathers.
Lord. Okay. So that's okay. So he was building his own stories in his mind.
He was building his own stories. He was very paranoia, possessive, whatever. But I also wanted to do a lot of things for myself. I wanted to go further, but I was really, really stuck. I didn't know how to get out of the situation. I didn't have anybody because he was so possessive. My father, he lived in Spain, and I didn't have any other family. So he was everything.
Okay.
So I had no friends. I had nobody. So I was very alone, couldn't talk to anybody. You have your colleagues, but if you don't go and talk to your colleagues on a private or do anything with your colleagues, they're not friends. So you cannot discuss anything like that. So finally I got a burnout because of the situation at home, the situation from working, and it was,
By burnout, do you mean like you reached the point where you just couldn't take it anymore?
No, actual burnout.
A burnout. I couldn't
Oh,
do
like
anything.
burnout, like you were burnt out from work
Yeah.
and all that. Okay, so
Actual burnout.
mentally exhausted.
Yeah, I couldn't do anything.
Okay.
I could not even watch the television.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
too much. Just
Yeah.
apparently,
Yes. So that basically made you collapse. Okay.
Full on.
Just trying to keep my thoughts off of trying to distract myself. Finally got into a burnout.
But did that get you out of the relationship with him, your burnout, or okay?
No.
So how did you break free?
How did I break free? I broke free because school called me and told me that my daughter was cutting herself.
Okay. So she was okay. So she was injuring herself basically.
Yeah, she was injuring
Okay.
herself. So for me, that was like everything I was doing was trying to keep her safe.
Yeah.
And just by knowing what I was doing was not keeping her safe, that was for me the turning point.
So that worked against you. By you trying to protecting them, that basically hit back and was like, I'm not really protecting them. I'm making the situation worse.
Exactly, because not knowing, thinking that they're not picking up anything by trying to pretend at home that everything's okay, they pick it up. They feel everything. They pick everything up.
Is this your youngest daughter?
No, my oldest.
Your oldest daughter. And this was the daughter you were waiting for like 1 year before.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one I was thinking, I wanted to keep her in a safe place.
Yes.
And not change the situation before she would, so.
Okay, so when you broke the relationship, you decided, like when that happened with your daughter, when the school called you, you decided, okay, this is enough. You got to do something about it.
Yeah.
And then you decided to take the step of breaking up with it.
Well, just before I broke up, I made sure that I had a house.
Okay.
So there were like, I've looked into it before then. There are like no houses. You can't get any house. Any kind of house you want, you have to pay like 3 times high rent.
Okay.
But when this happens, I don't know, something happened. I went and a house came free like the same week. I had no idea how I was going to pay for it. I didn't care. But everything just fell into place. So when I had the house and I had the key, that's the moment that I broke up because I was very scared of his reaction.
Yes. You didn't tell him where the new house were, of course.
He knew where it was afterwards.
Okay.
Because of course I had to go there, and
of course
my youngest daughter was still in the house, and my oldest daughter, she had already filled up the whole car, and she's like, I'm getting in that car and I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
So he knew where it was. It was very difficult. The breakup was very terrifying.
So would you say the breakup was the worst part?
No.
What would you say was the worst part?
The worst part was that's very, very bad when I heard about that, of course.
Of your daughter, you mean?
Yeah, but that's not the worst part, because that was something that is very, very bad, but I see that as also a trigger to make me take action. I think the worst part was feeling alone.
Mm-hmm.
I did my paper route in the morning. Even though I had a burnout, I did my paper route in the morning because I was like, I have to do one thing in the day. That was like my time,
just paper route is a newspaper.
Okay.
Yeah. Just so you.
Yeah. So I kept doing that. And I think like the worst part was just feeling like I was in a hole and you don't see any lights, and feeling that nobody's going to come and give you a hand to help you out. Because a lot of people have people in their lives and, maybe somebody will come and help them.
Yes.
But I felt like I had nobody.
I understand. It is, first of all, I want to say thank you for opening up. I know that this is a very hard subject, and I have had people in my surroundings that have been depressed as well. So that's why now you're making me start to tear down, but it's fine. I think it's healthy to talk about these things, because the situation you have been in, the situation that people in my close quarters have been in, it's a very hard thing. Especially thinking like you're saying, I don't have anyone to talk about, I don't have anyone to turn to, that basically is a hell of itself. even if you are a big believer in God and you believe that God is with you, we're all humans, we all have our weak moments. When you are at your lowest point, you do not always think about you have God with you. You know what I mean? It's very hard to keep that focus. God is here for me. He has the better, but it doesn't matter. If you think that, you will still feel those feelings. And it's a very, very uncomfortable feeling to have. And it's sometimes I have myself been in situations where I actually didn't know who to call, who to talk to, and that it's very painful. It is very painful. I mean, like, for people who have not lived that feeling, it's very hard to explain to them, because a lot of people will just say, hey, why don't you just call anyone? Call anyone, there are multiple numbers for people, helplines. So, like, call a helpline, they can help you. But it's like, I can't. It's not as easy as you think. So I need to trust that person. I need to know, who I'm talking to. Is he going to help me, or what exactly is going to happen here? And you don't have that kind of, you don't have that type of thinking. Like, when you're constructive and you're thinking, you're like, okay, try to put things together, because you're in such a bad place that nothing is working as it should be working. You know what I mean? So thank you for sharing that, because
I can also honestly say, from the feelings that I had, I can really understand why some people commit suicide.
oh, I can imagine
So
that.
from if you have such a feeling like that, I think nobody should. I think everybody should try to find that light point. But I know how difficult it is. Because even if you think, I didn't even think at that moment I could call a helpline or anything like that. That didn't even come into me. But if I think back, I don't even think I would be able to, I don't think I would be able to explain the feeling I was having at that moment. So how can I call and how can I explain to somebody how I'm feeling?
I understand. That's actually correct. If you can't pinpoint it. It's hard. We have, of course, the people who study to become psychologists and try to help you with that. I'm not disregarding their work, but trying to explain that to someone might be hard for you. You might not be comfortable sharing it with them, and you might need multiple sessions. And actually, unfortunately, psychologists cost a lot of money, and not a lot of people can afford that. And the cheap ones are usually not the best ones. You know what I mean? I had to I went to therapy sessions myself when my friend was murdered in 2017, because I had a stabbing feeling in my heart. And they did an EKG, they did some tests, and they're like, we can't see anything. Your heart is working fine. So the doctor recommended, she's like, you know what? We have a therapist here if you want, and you can talk to her. And I was like, yeah, I would love to. That meeting cost me 10 euros, basically. It was a good session, but I wasn't in that bad of a situation to be able to evaluate if that helped me or not. Because she was like, do you even need therapy? I was like, I have no idea. So, I was like, I would just here to try it. And I was one day before talking to her, I was actually about to call and cancel, because I was like, do I really want to do this? Because I remember holding paper in my hand and I was like, do I really want to talk to her? No, maybe I'm fine. I should cancel this. And it's also a fear of, do I really want to? Because if I go to, then maybe I start thinking that there's something wrong with myself. But, I went there and I was very thankful with the situation. And she was like, you are in such a good position that I don't want to see you for 6 months. And I was like, okay, apparently there's nothing wrong with me. You know what I mean? But at the same time, after that moment, I found out that my friend had been murdered. So I was like, maybe that's what was kind of like taking in my heart, because that friend was the one who introduced me to RuneScape. And if he didn't introduce me to RuneScape, we wouldn't be sitting here talking today. So you know how the world connects the dots, basically.
Mm.
And that's something amazing. But I grew up with him. We went to the same kindergarten, to the same preschool, we went to the same school for 7 years, and then we broke off 1 year, and then the next year we went to the same school again until high school, and then in high school we broke off to do two different schools, and losing someone like him was hard, and it's just how the world. You cannot really explain it. My aunt passed away in January. She was hospitalized. She was hospitalized for a couple of days and went to the ICU. But there was one night that I tried to explain it, and I just couldn't, because it was so crazy. I was just sleeping, minding my own business, trying to fall asleep. Something hits me. It's like a chill all over my body. My heart starts racing. I feel like, oh, is this death? Is this am I going to pass away? And all these crazy thoughts started rushing into my head. It's like, what is this? So I'm going to be honest. I woke up, I sat down, I wrote my will, because I don't have a will. I was like, maybe now is the time. So I wrote my will, and I was like, all right. And I was mentioning God's name to try to calm down. The next day in the morning, my mom calls, and she's like, your aunt is in the hospital, and her situation is critical. They say that she might not make it. And that's kind of like the connection of, the worldly connection of your body's telling you there is something, check it out. Something is going on, whether it is someone with you, or their close friends, relatives, or someone, close to you, like my friend who got murdered. But to get back to our conversation, what was your light? What made you push through?
I really am not sure. One thing I think that really helped me, may seem strange, is Facebook. Not connecting with people, but because of how Facebook works. When you click on something, of course you're going to get a lot of things from that. So So I don't know what it was, but it felt like I had never had Facebook before, but I don't know. I was just searching, so I went onto Facebook, and you have like a lot of those quotes, and just a very simple quote, and then the next quote, I don't know, something built up, and it was like also the quotes were building up or something like that. But that's of course, how Facebook works.
Are you talking about positive quotes?
Yeah, positive quotes. Yeah, positive
quotes. Motivation like quotes.
Yeah, motivational pictures, quotes on it.
Yeah, those kind of things. I don't know. I guess that helped somewhere, just getting from somewhere that a positive thing was coming in. And also, I don't know, I was doing like my paper route every morning and just putting on music and stuff like that. And it seemed like all the songs that were coming on were trying to tell me something. I don't know. I got this thought in my head, like I've been put here on this earth for a reason. Yes. So not to give up, but I have to find that reason. And something in my head was like, I'm not going to let life take control over me. I'm going to take control of my life. I don't know. So those things were building up inside of me, and I don't know, just making me a little bit stronger every day. So it was a process. It's not something that happened. It was a process.
Were your children an important part in overcoming depression? Like you want to be stronger for them, or?
To be honest,
yeah,
I had thoughts that they might even be better without me. When I was at my lowest point, I was like, what kind of person am I to be able to take care of them? What kind of role model? It was, when you're in that point, then it's, you see everything in a negative way.
Yeah.
You think everybody's better without you. You're like, what do I have to offer? What can I,
yeah.
So, yeah, of course, I tried, because I was like, children should be your point to get you out of such a situation. So I was trying to push myself to think that. But every time more I tried to think about that, the more I was thinking that they might be better without me, because every positive thing I tried to think of got counteracted with like 3 negative things.
So it was an internal struggle of trying to balance the positive and negatives, but the negatives outweighed the positives in that way.
Yeah. And just by continuously fighting that, just saying, I don't want to lose this fight. I don't know. I'm somebody who always thinks there's a solution to everything.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what happens, but there has to be a solution, and no matter what. So I was like, I'm in this hole and it's black and nobody's coming. There has to be some way out. There has to be. This cannot be the end. This cannot be. I don't know. It's not. I'm here, but I should be here for a reason, not just to stop at this moment like this. I don't know what it is, but I want to find it.
Yes, that's actually a very beautiful thing. That's actually something that can push you very far if you have that in your mind. Did you ever think about, and I'm sorry if I overstepping here, but did you ever think about hurting yourself or ending your life?
At that moment, no, but I have had earlier in my life, thoughts of doing that when I was younger.
How long would you say your depression journey from that with the relationship with your ex, how till you would say better? How long of a period was that?
It was definitely longer than a year. I don't know. Time doesn't compute at that moment. But it was definitely longer than a year. And even after the breakup with my ex, I wasn't out of my depression. I was in a good way, but I wasn't where I should have been. Not yet.
Okay. Well, that's it. You mentioned something that's very important. It's that when you were talking about Facebook, it was small buildups that eventually tilted the scale. And that is very important for people to know about. It's like working out. You work out every day, but you're not going to see a result the next day or the next or the next, because you're looking at yourself. But if you put the pictures next to each other for 3 or 5 months, you will see the change. And it's very important. It's very hard because you can't see anything in front of you. You can't see it happening. And, that's why I loved what you said, little by little and, step by step, and all these quotes by quote every day that kept popping up helped you. And I think that's what people need to think about and focus on. That's because just because you can't see it right now doesn't mean that nothing is happening for you. It's always, it's very hard being in a very negative environment or in a very, very negative position in your life, or a bad position in your life, because trying to get out is a lot harder than getting into that. But at the same time, your thoughts of there has to be something else. You want to find a solution. This can't be it. I was put on this earth for a reason. I think that was one of the reasons that kind of pushed you also to keep doing what you wanted to do, or to keep wanting to become better, because this is not it. I can't waste my life like this. And for everyone who suffer that kind of thing, if they could try to find that would be great. But as I said, it's a very hard thing to do. I've been in a similar situation, not as bad situation as you, so I cannot take credit for that. But I have been in a bad place, and I thank God for getting me through it. And thankfully you made it through as well. But there is always something to learn. That does not happen to you just because life wants to hit you in a negative way. You know what I mean? The world is like the world is in grave loss, and we will always be in a loss. But it's all about what you think about world and what you think about the situations that you have been in, and what you make of that. Because it's all about your mindset. Like you said, it's all about the mindset. If you put your mind and try to let the positives outweigh the negatives, you will look at everything different. You can be ungrateful for the things that you have, but you can always be grateful that you actually have those things, because you could have been somewhere else, in a house with no roof. And, you know, the other day it was raining outside here and it was so much rain. And I was like, thank you, Lord, for the roof that I have over my head, because if it didn't, the whole house would be gone. You know what I mean? So it's all about the perspectives. So thank you for sharing that, really.
And like you said, that's what I think beautiful about life. Well, of course, the negative things that happen, the situations that happen, those are not beautiful, but they are learning experience. And what beautiful is for all the negative experience that happen in your life, there are so many positive and great and wonderful things that happen in your life that are also happening. So it's just, even though it's very difficult, of course, I very much understand this. I cannot take, like you said, you understand this in a way. I've never been that low, so I have only respect for people that have experienced this and gotten through this, because I can say that I understand it, but to be honest, I don't, because I had the privilege to not have to do this. I'm very blessed in this way. I'm also very grateful for this, but that doesn't mean that I don't respect this situation. And that's what I want to say in that regard, is that even with all the negative things that are happening, there are also so many more positive things that are going on too. So it's like you said, it's a matter of shifting what you're looking at.
Oh, absolutely. But I think, like, Jennifer has battled depression, and you have probably battled a lot of things. Not probably, I know that you have battled a lot of things, you know, based on our conversations we've had throughout the years. I have told you things, and I have battled a lot of things. It's not about, we don't have the same journey. We don't need to have the same journey. It's just better that we have different journeys, different trials that we can share with people, because now I'm learning from Jennifer, while, you know, maybe you're learning from me, but you're learning from Jennifer at the same time. And maybe you're learning something from me and I'm learning something from you. So that's how the world works. We learn from each other, from our experiences. We learn from everything that's happening. And that's why, like you said, it's very important to see the good things. You might not see it at the time, but when time passes, you will realize that what happened to you was actually kind of a blessing in some sort, you know, of some sort. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So if we want to conclude this meeting now, because I don't want to take a lot of your time and I appreciate everything that you've done, if you guys would leave the people watching with a lesson or something important to you that they can take along the way, what would that be?
For me personally, I'll start, I suppose. For me personally, is always be true to yourself. Even if you don't know what that means yet, always be true to yourself. That's the short version.
All right.
Yeah, what would I want to tell the people? I have maybe two things I want to tell people.
Absolutely, that's fine.
People who are in the area of people who are depressed, don't always try to fix it for them. Don't always try to understand. Sometimes just be there for them. By trying to understand or by trying to get them a positive, it works the wrong way.
Yeah, you might sound patronizing or anything like that.
Exactly. It will, is too big of a confrontation. One thing I remembered is the only thing I was thinking, I was just hoping that somebody would just tell me it's going to be okay. And that would have been okay. I don't need a solution. I don't need anything. Just to know that I can be myself. I can lay on the couch and do nothing and just be depressed. That's okay. That would have really helped me, I think. For people who are in that situation, yeah, what can you say to help somebody in that situation? Just try to find your light. Just try the positive, take one day at a time. Every day, just be grateful that you wake up. Just start like that.
That's beautiful. And to connect it to just what you guys said in your story, it's that random act of kindness, you trying to clean the wine from his suit, that brought you together. You don't know what act will actually trigger something in someone or help someone. So whatever small you think it is, even if it's not something grand, I would say just do it and hope for the best. You know what I mean? So that's why this is amazing, because that's actually what happened with you guys. Because you're cleaning of that that wine spot made him realize this is what I want in a relationship. I really want this. And look what it brought you today. You guys
Small
have had
things
an
in life.
amazing journey.
That's
Sorry?
why-
It's the small things in life.
Yeah,
Oh,
always
yes.
appreciate it. Always appreciate these small things, because the best part of it all is everybody deserves it. You deserve it. She deserves it. I deserve it. Everybody deserves it.
Oh, that's a good note to end it in, I guess. So yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
And thank you.
Let me see this. Well, that was the conversation with Pieter and Jennifer. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I am very grateful for the opportunity of being able to interview them and hear their life stories and learn something from it. On an end note, I want to leave you guys with a couple of words of encouragement from myself. Life is hard. I know it can be very hard, but it doesn't have to be. Personally, I would suggest, or this is something that has worked for me at least, surround yourself with people that love you and be in a positive mindset, and you will make it through. Also, another thing that has helped me is that I'm a man of faith, and I'm a firm believer of my faith. And I know that God will never send something your way that you cannot handle. He will never send a burden your way that is too tough on you. So everything that comes your way, you can handle. You just need to have the right mindset, surround yourself with people you love, and you will make it through. I know that you will. So thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best and have a good rest of the day.